Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 17th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Jenny. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm great, Taran. We're in the home stretch here. This might be my last update of the season. It happened so fast. I can't believe that we're finally, basically within a week of the finale. So pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
We are here to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 21 live feeds, and it was day 90
90.
in the house. Day 90. We're in the 90s.
That's crazy.
It's almost
Uh,
over. A week from tomorrow is the finale.
yeah, it's
Man.
yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. Like feeds have definitely slowed down. There's only so much that can be happening with four people, and a lot of repetition of the same plans and conversations. So I'm very intrigued on how much longer the feeds are going to last and what they're going to do for the next week. But we're here.
We're here. Not too much to update you on from yesterday. Mostly just setting things up for the next couple of days, what the pitch will be from Cliff and all of that. So obviously Jackson has the veto. He has to decide between Holly and Cliff who to evict because Nicole is safe being HOH. He did let Nicole and Cliff know the day before that he was choosing to evict Cliff here. So Cliff is now in a spot where he's trying to come up with what is the pitch going to be to convince Jackson that he needs to keep Cliff over his showmance Holly, and that's going to be most of the day here.
Yeah, lots of Cliff kind of talking through that it might be his final days in the house, but kind of talking through what his potential pitch to Jackson would be. There's kind of two stages to this plan that he's discussing. That there's the appealing to the emotions, and then that's stage one of the plan. And
Yes,
if that is not working,
soft pitch and hard pitch
yeah, and
later
if it's
on.
not working, then we start threatening.
Yeah, but he started the day just talking to the cameras. He's been thinking about his brother lately, who passed around this time, years and years ago now. He's proud of how he did in the game, and he's gonna fight. He's gonna try, but he knows it probably won't work here, and he's gonna make the attempt, but he's not super hopeful.
Yeah, he's doing lots of talking to Sharon and his kids, of course. He's really it's sad to watch because he's such a fan, and you can tell that he's enjoyed every single stage of this game, and he's so close. You really see players get really emotional at this point when they've gone through the whole game and they're so close to that final that final part of the game. And he talks about how the finale would mean a lot to his family, and it would mean a lot to him having like Sharon in the audience, and having that whole experience of just even being there on finale, even if he isn't going to win. So he's talking through his game a lot and trying to think about where he misstepped. Maybe he should have won more competitions. And he does a lot of apologizing to his family. He does really feel bad that they're not going to make it to finale night.
Yes, he wishes that he could get them there. They're big fans of the show. It would be really great for them to be able to, but he's not going to make the final three, so he's apologizing to them for that. He does talk to Nicole. Nicole is, I think, a little more hopeful that they can make something work, that they can get Jackson to flip. Cliff is I don't know, but we'll try. We're gonna try. We're gonna fight. Cliff is mostly upset with Jackson about a couple of comments that Jackson made, more of what we were talking about yesterday, where Jackson was saying that Cliff had made some comments toward Holly about oh, you're allowed to win the veto, and oh, you should spend as much time together as possible because one of you is going. Cliff is like, he's the one that said that. I just agreed with him, and now he's trying to make me out to be some kind of monster, and he's kind of annoyed about that. And so it's just more of this, like, I do think that that Cliff, we're going to see later in the day as well that he wants to respect Jackson's game, but feels very frustrated with the kinds of things that Jackson is doing and saying to him, some of which are, I think, unjustified bitterness, some of which I think is justified. And these things in particular, I think, are justified bitterness here, where, again, Jackson just needs to own what he's doing and stop trying to blame other people for his decisions.
And that's exactly why, the fan base is not, completely, well, I mean, it's not the only reason, but it is some of the frustration that we're all talking about with Jackson and his moves that, from a game perspective, it's really quite stunning some of the things he's done, but just a bit of an unwillingness to embrace that role and the manipulation behind it, still that holding on to this idea that he's honorable and he somehow, is justified in doing this morally, when it really has nothing to do with morals, and he should really just be, embracing this, almost villanesque, moves that he's been making in the late game, and that he's still trying to sell this, I wouldn't have stabbed your back if you didn't stab mine first, rhetoric about the whole thing. So, I mean, Cliff is kind of echoing what you guys talked about it last night. Everyone's kind of saying like that, the whole own it thing, coming around now on Jackson here. So,
So Nicole mentions again the idea of promising Jackson that they will both take him to the final two, and Cliff, is going to sort of combine that with the idea that they're going to threaten their jury votes, and that's going to be kind of the pitch. Cliff also talks about how, after cooling down a bit, he feels like, he'll reconsider things once he gets to the jury house. He'll definitely consider voting for Jackson once he gets there, but they're not going to tell Jackson that.
No, why would you tell him that? You don't want to give him a reason to send, like one of the reasons that they could possibly hope that Jackson chooses to send Holly out over Cliff, which I don't think anyone really expects to happen at this point, is Holly is a guaranteed, well, maybe not a guaranteed vote if he votes her out, but at least if Cliff is saying that he's going to the jury house and is not going to vote for him, if he's suddenly telling him that he's going to, come around and thinks he's a good guy and that he will give him his vote, there's no incentive to keep that person around. He's for sure sending someone that will, respect his game and give him a vote. So don't tell him that.
So they want to work on Jackson and Holly. They want to try and get Nicole working on Holly, trying to just kind of separate them a little bit. Maybe get them to argue a little bit. That might help their case in some small way. So they're gonna do what they can. Nicole does lay some groundwork with Jackson later in the day, saying that, look, if there's anything that I can offer you that will help make the decision easier, if you could keep Cliff, if that means that I take you to the final two, something along those lines, please let me know. And Jackson says like, oh, I'll hear you two out. I don't want to make it seem like I'm closed-minded. I hope you know what a difficult decision this is. And
what I want to say is that, Jackson's also acknowledging like, I'm sorry if you feel like I'm ignoring you, like I know that you're like me, you just need like, and that you're upset justifiably, and that you need some time to process. And I mean, as much as he's not committing to anything except for like, I'll hear you guys out, I hate to hand it to him, but he's still doing a way better job of like the social game than Holly, at this stage. Like Holly has basically done nothing in terms of communicating with Cliff or Nicole. She's done no good for herself in terms of securing a jury vote from them. And I don't know if she's just banking on them being more mad at Jackson than her, but Jackson is still putting in the effort with, obviously with Nicole, because Nicole's going to be still, in the final three here and could win, and he wants her to take him as well. But I just I just think that it is important, again, to note that Holly is kind of isolating herself and is only spending time with Jackson, and Jackson is still working on the other people in the game. So
Yeah, I mean, Holly's just spending all of her time complaining about Nicole,
yeah.
and Jackson is actually talking to Nicole and Cliff, which like Holly, you're gonna if like you're probably gonna be in the final two with Jackson. These are two votes. They could be two very important votes.
And you don't have to worry about Jackson's. Like if you
Just
end up in the final two without him, the, then you've pretty much got his. So you should really, try to take advantage of the fact that Jackson could be seen as the one that is more of the betrayer in this situation. And she's really just doing herself no favors by, just kind of holding herself up with Jackson.
her head is just completely out of the game.
Yeah,
It's
it's really hard to watch too. Like I mean, it's we've all talked about it at this point, but it is really hard to watch. There was like a point last night where her and Jackson were like laying and talking about how crazy it is that they're in the final four as a showman's and they're going to be in the final three as a showman's, and that basically just being like, yeah, it was so stupid of them to like not take the shot then. The very same thing that they're like mad about. But like there's this like, I don't know, there's this uncomfortable moment for me personally where she's just like, I'm so proud of you, and then he's like, why? And he's like, just the person you are. And he's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, you just have such a big heart, and you just love to do things for people, like as little as bringing me coffee in the morning, or as big as saving my life in this game. And I'm just like, oh Jesus, how many times is this man bringing coffee going to be like praised as like the most amazing thing
hey,
that a
I
human
made
can do?
breakfast.
Oh wait, there was the time you
I
made
made
breakfast.
breakfast. I am a Southern gentleman.
Like what else is there to do in the house? Like I honestly, we're really like, it's not like he's going off to work and he got up extra early so that he could make a cup of coffee for like Holly. But I can see, like, I know what it's like to, be in a relationship with someone where you are blinded and you have a hard time seeing like the really bad parts of the relationship, and you're focusing on the little things that they do that you like. And I just really feel like that moment was so like, that was exactly what was happening. She was just like, "Oh, you make me coffee. Like that's such a nice thing that you do for me. And also you saved my game." Well, I mean, she's seeing that the way that she wants to see it, that he did that for her, when we all know that that was very much a self-serving move on Jackson's part. So it's
Yeah.
just really uncomfortable to watch, that she is really focusing on the positives that she perceives from this relationship that with Jackson. And it's not to say that like literally Jackson is like the worst person in the world, but she is totally missing like all of the terrible things, and is really just holding on to these tiny little gestures that she thinks, but she's praising him. Like it's just ugh.
Yeah, when Jackson screws up the jury management and Holly ends up winning because of it, and people who love to just be results oriented go, oh well, actually I guess Holly was playing an amazing game then. Make sure you listen to the podcasts leading up to the finale, because she has not been doing anything ever since basically Kat got evicted.
And I think that like the thing that the reason why I can't be super, like, I know that Brent was kind of talking about it last night on the round table about how, he manipulated Holly to, throw the HOH and like, the veto and agreed all these things, and that it was beneficial to him. As a game move, it's like, you want to say like, wow, that's such an incredible move. Like he's so manipulative. We want this kind of player. I think that what the issue that a lot of people have in the fan base, or at least I'm speaking for myself, is just that we've seen shades of him just being manipulative of her in a non-game setting. And so I think that that's what's really like problematic about the move, is that if he was just a nice guy, And in terms of their relationship, he always treated her with care and was always respectful of her. That would be one thing. And then he turns around and kind of uses that relationship for game purpose only. But we've seen endless examples of him like belittling her and manipulating her in conversations that have nothing to do with the game. So I think that that's personally my reason why I am not like praising Jackson as like the next day and the next Dr. Will, because there is some like yucky feelings behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't praise him that way because I don't think his game has been that impressive up until that point. But that is another point to it as well, for sure. And you just know that if they do make the final two together, and the audience is bitter against Jackson, and they're calling him perhaps an effing asshole or something along those lines, and if Holly does not stand up for him, say, hey, no, it's not his fault, which she honestly might in the final two jury questioning. But if she doesn't and then ends up winning, you know for sure that a few days later, she's going to be crying to him in a hotel as he describes why it's her fault that he lost the game, and that that they, I don't know, who knows what happens from there.
And I can't really fault Holly. I can fault Holly in terms of, her totally avoiding doing anything for herself in this game anymore, in terms of, continuing to nurture her relationship with, Nicole and Cliff as two hopeful votes in the jury. I can fault her on that. It's the like victim blamey stuff that I'm seeing on Twitter that I'm not really a big fan of, that like it's really difficult to like, I can psychologically understand why she's in this position. But that doesn't mean that she deserves to win the game. You know what I mean? Like you can find the psychological reasoning by why she, forgives Jackson, gives him second chances. But that doesn't mean that we should be saying that she deserves to win over Jackson, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So Jackson did talk with Holly later in the night. Holly was just kind of wondering, I wonder what Cliff's pitch is going to be. I wonder if his pitch is going to be that he's going to be an advocate for you on the jury. Jackson's like pitching for me to send him to the jury. Oh no!
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm not thinking clearly.
We know, Holly.
Jackson thinks the pitch is going to be that that they're both going to pitch that they're going to take him to the final two. And he has already a hint of that. But what he says is, that doesn't matter to me. There's nothing in this world that can make me turn my back on you, Holly.
Because also I will win against you in his head.
Right. And so that's why that's the best pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was that. Cliff talked to the cameras. This is when he was talking about what you were saying earlier, that he is going to, the plan is Nicole is going to lay some groundwork, which she's already been doing. Then she's going to lay some more groundwork in the morning today. Then in the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon today, he plans on making the soft sell, that he is going to try to appeal to Jackson's emotions, say that he really wishes his family could be here. He's really concerned about how Jackson is going to be portrayed to America for making these deals, going back on them. He's trying to do, really just trying to appeal from the emotional angle. I personally don't love this. I think that the more attempts you make at trying to talk somebody into doing something, the less likely it is that they're going to do it. So if you're going to make an attempt, I think you should make it with your strongest case and just go for it. I don't love this idea. I do not think that the emotional appeal will work at all. And I think if anything, you should maybe weave some of those points into what he calls the hard sell, which is that, what they had talked about before. So what he said is that if the emotional pitch doesn't work, then the following day on Wednesday, he's going to make the hard sell, the threatening sell of myself and Nicole will not be votes for you in the jury. And then, a little bit of carrot and stick. we will also take you to the final two if we get there. At least Nicole wants to pitch that. Cliff wants to maybe see how it goes about that. But then you can also throw in some emotional angles, like think about how you'll be portrayed to America if you break this deal and then you lose in the jury, that you will be seen as the asshole, the Paul, like that's not how you want to be shown. You want to be shown as the winner of the season. You want people like me and Nicole to be on your side as advocates for you. So I think that, again, he should really weave that in, and he should do it as soon as he can, in my opinion. He also will then say, things along the lines of, you won't have myself or Nicole. You think you're going to have Tommy and Christy? I don't think so. That's 4 votes. You only need, Holly only needs 1 more at that point. And then Kat, Jess. I don't think you can win, Jackson. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen for you. So you got to make something else happen.
Well, and the thing is, on the point of the emotional pitch not really being the most effective, is that, the alternative is something that he also has emotions tied to. So it's like, it would be a different situation if, Holly was just someone that he'd been working with in the game, that he, wasn't in a showmance with. But he thought that he had an easier chance of beating at the end, and that's why he was like keeping her, and that he had like a closer relationship with Cliff. Then the emotional pitch might have a little bit more, like more legs in terms of trying to convince him. But there's emotions on the side of keeping Holly. Like, that's not going to work. You have to appeal to the the killer instinct that they've seen in Jackson, with what he pulled with Tommy, and just be like, this is going to be like a killer for your game. Like, this is potentially going to sink your game. And that's pretty much, I don't think that either way is going to work, unfortunately, but I do agree that, appealing to Jackson's emotions in this particular case, when he has emotions tied to Holly as well, won't work. You need to, convince him somehow that this could be a potentially game losing mistake, sending Cliff to the jury to potentially poison the jury.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in general, emotional pitches don't really work well in Big Brother at all. I mean, somebody like Nicole is probably the most vulnerable to emotional pitches. And we saw that she sometimes did fall into that trap and considered going another way during the game. But ultimately, she went with logic. And if somebody like Nicole is ultimately going to go with logic, then most people are ultimately going to go with logic. Now, that said, what needs to happen with an emotional pitch is that you use the emotional pitch to cloud their judgment and think that something else is logical. That's how an emotional pitch can work. But you can't say, here's the logical options, here's the emotional option, you should pick the emotional option. It just never works that way. You need to, again, combine the two in order to make it work the way you want.
Yeah. And I think I also agree that, I mean, it's too bad because there's a lot of time before this actually takes place. And I don't necessarily think that time benefits Cliff in this situation. Like you're saying, with this long drawn out multi-stage kind of like, in the morning we'll do this, and then in the afternoon we'll do this. And I just don't think that methodical, drawn out approach is going to work with Jackson. Go straight to the thing that you think will work best. Because if that isn't going to work, then nothing is going to work. So why waste your time, like, showing to him that, oh, I tried with you with the emotional stuff first, but that didn't, like, it's very transparent that you're doing that at that point. So it's like, if you think that your best bet is this thing, then why not just move straight to that? Because that's your one shot to convince him, and you might as well just give your best pitch based on, his fears about his portrayal to America and the jury, and what that could potentially do for his winning odds at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, Nicole has been laying the groundwork. I believe that she will continue to this morning, and we'll see that Cliff will start to weigh in as well, probably at some point today. And they may wait until tomorrow to give the hard sell. I would prefer they not do that, but really, ultimately, at the end of the day, none of this is probably going to work anyway. But they are going to make the attempt, and hopefully, at the very least, we get some drama out of it,
Yeah.
because I think that Jackson's going to be pretty annoyed.
I know that it doesn't matter, but do we have any idea when the actual veto ceremony is going to take place? Because it didn't take place yesterday, right?
Yes, so the veto ceremony has been moved to Thursday,
So just do it all on the same day?
for the live show.
Okay.
That Jackson will use the veto, and then he will cast the vote to evict.
Yeah, Nicole was like practicing her jury, or not her jury, her veto ceremony speech
Yep.
a couple times throughout the day. But then later in the evening, when she talks to Jackson, and is like, like as you said, laying down the groundwork for their pitch to him, she kind of like hit a lot of the points that she was already kind of practicing for this veto ceremony speech to Jackson. So I don't know if she's going to come up with something different or if she's just going to hammer home the same points. But I was kind of surprised because she was literally practicing, under the pretenses that this was going to be her veto ceremony speech aimed at Jackson, and she's already kind of like done the soft version of that.
Yeah, well, they had thought that it was going to be on Monday yesterday, and so I from my perspective, she was looking at her veto speech as a way of like getting some digs in on Jackson to make him potentially reconsider his decision. But if it's not going to happen until Thursday, then there won't be any time for him to reconsider his decision. So she's going to start to make those points now. But I do still hope that she really digs in on him in the veto ceremony as well, because it's really going to bother him.
And what else does she have to lose at that point, especially if it is on Thursday?
Yeah.
And they feel like they've said everything that they can possibly say, and she knows that her only path to the win at this point is to win the final 3 HOH herself and take Holly. Then she, I don't know, make a dig and just see if it has any impact, and if not, maybe it'll just make a good TV moment.
Yeah. Man, if only there was a moment during the season that would have given them a hint that Nicole was a fan favorite. I feel like that would really it would really make it even worse for Jackson here. He'd be even more upset.
Yeah.
And Holly would shut up, hopefully. Jeez. All right.
She just can't stop.
Okay, all right. So that's what we have for you from yesterday, unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up, Jenny.
No, just one last dance between Cliff and Orwell in the backyard. Cliff goes on this search for Orwell for a while last night, and then it almost seemed staged to me, like he was like in the kitchen talking to the cameras. It was actually kind of fun, if for like fun feeds, and
I mean,
and if you're a Cliffomaniac and you like seeing his relationship with Orwell, it was pretty cute. He's like in the kitchen and he's like talking at the camera and he's just like, I can't find him. And then the feeds like pan to like there's like an owl statue somewhere in the house. I don't know what this was. And then all of a sudden he just looks down and then he's like, there he is, and he's like under the like kitchen. Oh my god. Every time something comes onto the screen, I'm like, what is he doing? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, he's right there, like in front of him. It almost seemed fake. I don't know. It was really weird. It was literally like that. He just pops up.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
I was like thinking about it this morning too. I was like, I'm seeing Orwell today. Definitely. Okay, but Orwell doesn't scare me like the clowns, Taran, okay?
What if Orwell was in a clown getup?
Cute clowns are not scary. It's the terrifying ones that look like they want to, wear your skin as
You
a
think
suit.
I couldn't make him up to be a scary
look
clown?
At his cute little kind eyes, Taran. Look at it.
I don't know.
You can't make those eyes scary. Those are genuine sweet owl eyes.
He's already a little more angry.
Yeah, I know. You furrowed his brow.
Yeah. All right. So that's what we have for you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 21 live feeds. And then, of course, tomorrow night, we'll be live with the Wednesday night recap. And then Thursday to recap the eviction. I mean, how fun would it be if Thursday night Jackson stood up there and said, Holly, I vote to evict you?
There are so many reasons why I would love that. You know, we've been waiting for this evicting showman's moment to happen again for a really long time in this late stage game, but you know, I'm not expecting it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, here's the thing. This jury vote pitch, it may not and probably won't work to get Jackson to evict Holly now, but again, it may stick in his head if he has the decision at the end of the final 3 HOH of who to take. It may be in his head, and he may Drew Daniel us. I mean,
I just think that he's going to tell himself that he can still regain his honor position by saying, like, you know, the one person I was always honorable to is Holly. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I just really don't see it happening. But yeah. Who knows?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
All right. So make sure you find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. You can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran, Instagram, Taran_Armstrong. Jenny, where can people find you?
I am on most social media at Jenny Autumn.
There you go. Thank you once again for joining us today. I'll see you next time.